It is a hot Saturday in January. You walk into the fruit section of a supermarket and there is a mountain of watermelons stacked near the entrance. Some are dark green, some are striped, some are round, some are long, and every one of them looks almost the same from 2 meters away. You pick one up, turn it over, tap it with your knuckles, and then realize you are not actually sure what you are listening for. So you choose the biggest one, put it in the trolley, take it home, chill it down, and cut it open after lunch. The color is pale, the center is soft, the flavor is weak. The kids take 2 bites and leave the rest on the plate. Half the melon ends up sitting in the fridge for 3 days before it goes in the bin. A good watermelon should be simple, cold, crisp, sweet, and full of juice. Picking one should not feel like gambling. Older fruit growers and market shoppers used a small group of signs before they paid. No special tools, just your eyes, hands, and ears. Today I am going to show you the 7 checks I use when I want the best watermelon I can find: the field spot, the weight, the skin, the shape, the stem, the sound, and the final pressure check. Do them in that order and you can reject most of the disappointing melons before they ever reach your trolley. Start with the field spot, because this is the first thing I would check on any watermelon. Turn the melon over and look for the patch where it rested on the ground while it was growing. On many melons, that patch will be easy to see. You are generally looking for a creamy yellow or buttery yellow color. If the spot is very pale, almost white, the melon may have been harvested before it reached full maturity. If the field spot has a richer yellow tone, that is usually a better sign. Do not get distracted by a few scratches on the skin. Do not worry if the melon is not perfectly clean. Look at that ground spot first. If I have 2 similar melons in front of me and one has a pale white field spot, while the other has a strong creamy yellow one, I start with the yellow one every time. That does not mean the field spot can guarantee sweetness by itself. No single test can. The point is to stack several good signs together. Test number 2 is weight. This one is simple, but you have to compare like with like. Pick up one melon. Feel how heavy it is. Then pick up another melon of roughly the same size. The better candidate should feel heavy for its size. Watermelon is mostly water, so a melon that feels surprisingly solid and heavy is usually a better bet than one that feels light and empty for the same volume. Do not compare a large melon with a small one. Compare 2 that look similar in size. Lift one, put it down, lift the other. You will often notice the difference immediately. If one feels noticeably heavier, keep that one in the running. You are not looking for the heaviest melon in the shop. You want one that feels heavy for its own size. Test number 3 is the skin. A lot of people reach for the shiniest watermelon because it looks fresh. That can be misleading. A mature melon often has a more dull or matte-looking rind rather than a bright, polished shine. So hold it under the supermarket lights and look at the surface. If it looks extremely glossy and almost newly waxed, I would not make that my first choice. I prefer a rind that looks firm, healthy, and more matte than shiny. While you are there, inspect the whole outside. Small superficial marks are not necessarily a problem. What you do want to avoid are deep cuts, leaking spots, soft bruises, cracks, or obvious damage. A good watermelon should feel solid all around. Cosmetic marks are one thing. Actual damage is another. Test number 4 is shape. Ignore the old internet argument about male and female watermelons. That is not a useful way to choose one. What matters more is whether the melon has developed evenly. If it is supposed to be round, look for an evenly round melon. If it is an elongated variety, look for a smooth, balanced shape from one end to the other. I would rather take a slightly smaller melon with a regular shape than a bigger one with a strange bulge, a pinched section, or one badly flattened side. An uneven melon is not automatically bad, but when you are choosing from a large pile, an evenly developed one is the safer choice. Run your eyes around it. Turn it once. You want a melon that looks like it grew steadily rather than one that looks distorted. Test number 5 is the stem, if the stem is still there. At supermarkets, it may be cut very short, so sometimes this check is not available. At farm gates, roadside stalls, and produce markets, you may have a better chance of seeing it. A stem that looks dry and brown is generally more encouraging than one that looks fresh, green, and recently cut. A very green stem can be a sign the melon was harvested earlier, but do not throw away a good melon just because you cannot see the stem. This is a supporting test, not the main test. If the field spot is good, the melon is heavy, the rind looks right, and the shape is even, I am not going to reject it simply because the shop has trimmed the stem. Use the stem when it is useful. Ignore it when it is not. Test number 6 is the famous thump. This is the check nearly everyone knows and nearly everyone overcomplicates. Pick up the melon or steady it with one hand and tap it firmly with the knuckles of the other. You are not trying to make music. You are simply comparing the response of one melon with another. A ripe watermelon often gives a deeper, more resonant, hollow sound. A very dull, tight sound can suggest a less suitable melon, while an overly soft or dead response may also make me cautious. The easiest way to learn this is not to stand there trying to remember a sound from a YouTube video. Tap 3 or 4 melons in the same pile. Listen to the differences. One will sound flatter, another will sound deeper and more open. That comparison is far more useful than trying to decide whether a single melon has passed some perfect musical test. And this is important. Never use the thump by itself. A melon can sound convincing and still disappoint you. Use the thump after the field spot, weight, skin, shape, and stem. It is one more piece of evidence. Test number 7 is the final pressure and damage check. Do not squeeze a watermelon hard. You are not testing an avocado. Instead, use your hands to feel the rind and check for any soft areas, especially around the ends and around visible marks. The surface should feel firm. If you find one patch that is noticeably softer than the surrounding rind, put the melon back. If you see a dark wet area, a split leaking juice, or a section that gives under your fingers, walk away from it. You want firmness and consistency. This final check is mainly about avoiding fruit that is bruised, damaged, or starting to break down. Now put the 7 checks together. First, turn it over and find the field spot. Creamy yellow is better than pale white. Second, compare the weight with another melon of similar size. Heavy for its size is what you want. Third, look at the rind. Firm and more matte is generally better than extremely glossy, and there should be no serious damage. Fourth, check the shape. Even and well-developed beats badly distorted. Fifth, look at the stem if it is still attached. Dry and brown is more useful than fresh and green. Sixth, tap it and compare the sound with other melons. Look for the deeper, more resonant response. Seventh, feel the outside for soft spots, cracks and bruising. Once you know the routine, it takes about a minute, and here is the mistake most shoppers make. They find one sign they have heard about and use only that. They look for a yellow spot and ignore everything else. Or they tap every melon and choose the one that makes the most interesting noise. Or they simply buy the largest one because they think a bigger melon must be better. That is not how I would do it. You want several good signs on the same melon. Imagine you have 3 watermelons in front of you. Melon number 1 has a good yellow field spot but feels light. Melon number 2 is heavy but has a pale field spot and a shiny rind. Melon number 3 has a creamy field spot, feels heavy, has an even shape, a firm matte rind, and gives you the better sound when you tap it. That third melon is the obvious candidate because the signs agree with each other. That is the method. No magical trick. You are improving the odds by reading several signs. There is also one thing Australian shoppers need to remember. Variety matters. Not every watermelon will have exactly the same color, shape, or markings. Seedless melons, traditional seeded varieties, and smaller types can look different from one another. So compare melons from the same pile or the same variety whenever possible. Do not take the appearance of one variety and use it as an absolute rule for every watermelon in the shop. At a good greengrocer, farm gate, or produce market, you can also ask which batch is eating well. It does not replace the checks, but it can point you to the right pile. When you get the melon home, chill it before serving if you like it cold. But remember that refrigeration cannot fix a melon that was poor when you bought it. The real decision happened back at the shop. That is why taking 60 seconds at the produce bin matters. Next time you are shopping for a barbecue, a weekend lunch, a beach day, or just something cold for a hot afternoon, do not grab the first watermelon you see. Turn it over, check the field spot, compare the weight, look at the rind, check the shape, look at the stem if there is one. Tap 2 or 3 and compare them. Then check for soft spots and damage. You do not need luck or 10 minutes in the aisle. You just need a repeatable routine. Once you use the same checks a few times, you will start doing them without thinking. And when you cut open a watermelon that is deep in color, crisp, juicy, and properly sweet, remember which signs that melon gave you on the outside. That is how you get better at choosing the next one.